Right, hello guys and welcome back. Just a few days ago, update 9.1.5 released, and with it came a host of sweeping changes to primarily the Warlock sandbox, with the key change being that buddy aspects like Arc Soul, Hellion and Bleak Watcher now behave as grenades for the purposes of stats and perks, among several other ability tuning passes. Void Warlock received a lot of love, Stasis on all three classes, especially on Titan, is actually insane now, and there were also some neat changes to Solar and Strand Hunter as well. So today we're going to be breaking down everything that changed in update 9.1.5 minus all the bullshit. And if you enjoyed today's content, then a like and subscribe is greatly appreciated. Okay, so to start with, let's discuss exactly what happened to the Warlock buddy aspects and why this change is so incredibly impactful. As stated in the intro, the following turret aspects have been reworked to behave like grenades for the purposes of stats and perks: Hellion, Bleak Watcher, Arc Soul, Child of the Old Gods, and Ionic Sentry. What this means is that any of these aspects will, for example, create an orb of power on kill when using the firepower mod, and actually if you're using 3 copies, every single kill will make one. Furthermore, investing in upwards of 100 grenade stat will improve the damage of these abilities by up to 65% at 200 stat, but more excitingly, they work alongside specific fragments that deal with grenade-based synergies. Take Facet of Dominance for example. It states that your Void grenades weaken targets and your Arc grenades jolt targets, and because Arc Soul technically counts as an Arc grenade now, it does indeed apply Jolt. Kills with buddies will also grant volatile rounds to your Void weapons if you're using Facet of Bravery, since again they count as grenades, and they will also cure you if you have Facet of Mending equipped, which makes it so grenade final blows cure you. There's also some other stuff like buddy kills being able to trigger traits like Adrenaline Junkie or the Spirit of Osmiomancy perk to reduce the cooldown of your real grenade even further. So basically, if there's something that has in any way relation to grenades or has a synergy with grenades, chances are that it now works with buddy aspects too. And to add another, I'm finally so happy that Ionic Sentry is able to apply Jolt with Spark of Shock and make orbs with kills, something I wish it had released with all the way back in Heresy. This change is a huge step towards improving Warlock build crafting, and I'd even argue that Warlocks are now in a really good spot. I've even made 2 builds with the new system already, so go check out either of them if you fancy. And also, the actual damage of these aspects is nothing to scoff at either. A 200 grenade Eunoia Hellion now deals about 15,000 total damage, which puts it just above a less than 100 super Celestial Nighthawk. And given how the Hellion damage literally just occurs in the background without you even thinking, this addition is massive and definitely the most groundbreaking Warlock change we've had in quite some time. Warlocks have also been granted a brand new passive trait that improves all grenade regeneration speeds by 10% and applies an additive 5% grenade damage bonus when compared to Hunters and Titans, solidifying them as the grenade and buddy class. Moving on, the Void Chaos Accelerant aspect has also received some pretty major tweaking. For starters, having this aspect equipped now grants you 2 grenade charges by default, and after that, the behavior of all of the charged grenades has changed significantly. Scatter Grenade now creates 4 additional Seekers when compared to their pre-patch state, and the actual damage of the Seekers has been increased by 25%. The Seekers also last longer and have much better tracking, overall making the grenade a lot more deadly. Speaking of Scatter Grenades, the exotic Nothing Manacles also provides you with an additional Scatter Grenade charge, meaning that if you pair Chaos Accelerant and Nothing Manacles together, you actually end up with 3 total Scatter Grenades, which I wasn't expecting to work, but I'm glad that it does. Axion Bolt has been changed to somewhat mirror a Touch of Flame fusion grenade, where it now detonates twice, spawning a boatload of Seekers, and just like Scatter Grenades, have also had their damage increased by 25%. Vortex Grenade was already pretty good, so all they did was make it so the grenade now repeatedly pulls in enemies towards it. And what's actually quite funny is that in the firing range, the opposite is true, where the grenade pushes enemies away rather than pulling them in, which is pretty funny, and yeah, I've got zero clue how this happened, but thankfully this appears to not be the case outside of the firing range, at least with my limited testing. After that, the Spike, Suppressor, and Void Wall grenades now all convert into handheld Supernova, so basically every single Void grenade now has a charged effect when used alongside Chaos Accelerant. Finally, the last piece of Warlock ability tuning pertains to the Stasis Glacial Harvest aspect, where the cooldown for Stasis shard creation has been fully removed, letting you make as many shards as you like, which is great, but this isn't out yet, because when I was writing this script, apparently the changes haven't arrived yet and will instead be alongside update 9.1.5.1 next week, according to the most recent twit. Something to look forward to, at least. Next up we have Titans, where the Stasis Howl of the Storm aspect has changed in a pretty significant way. For starters, you now get 2 melee charges when running this aspect, and more importantly, 4 more crystals have been added to the formation, and the formation itself looks a lot different different than it did before. And furthermore, the Tectonic Harvest aspect has also had its cooldown removed, which has made it through the update unlike the Warlock version. And this change is also the reason why you're probably seeing way more Stasis Titans out there, because when combined with Howl of the Storm, breaking all of your crystals and collecting the shards they make fully refunds both of your melee charges, letting you loop the ability over and over again without even needing any kills, which is honestly insane, and you should definitely expect a Stasis Titan build soon that takes full advantage of this. Remaining on Stasis, the Cryoclasm aspect has also been slightly buffed, where it now provides 3 fragment slots instead of the previous 2, and the cooldown time of the long slide has been reduced from 4 seconds to now 2 seconds, letting you use the ability far more frequently. Moving on to Void Titan now, a couple aspects have received some buffs. Unbreakable has had its passive energy drain drastically reduced, letting you hold the shield for much longer than before, and the movement speed slowdown when walking forwards while being shot has also been cut back on. The available fragment slots have also been increased from 2 to 3, and the blast from the shield now disorients enemies it hits for a brief period, which according to my testing is about 1 to 2 seconds. The Bastion aspect has had its barricade cooldown penalty completely removed, letting you use it far more often than before. That's it for the Titans. Again, some pretty solid buffs, and Bungie have confirmed that some more Void Titan buffs are on the way, likely with Renegades, though the highlight is hands down Stasis. All that Stasis Titan needs now is a rock solid burst damage super, and it would actually become one of the best classes in the game. Finishing up with Hunter, they too have been granted some new passive benefits that set them apart from Warlocks and Titans. The first of which is that their base walking speed is now equivalent to old tier 10 mobility, where pre-patch it was tier 4, and as you can see from the side-by-side comparison, post-patch I am indeed walking faster. Speaking of things happening faster, Hunter now also sprints faster by default compared to Warlocks and Titans, where their base sprint speed has been increased to 8.6 meters per second from the previous 8 meters per second. Again, visible in the side-by-side comparison. Finally, Hunters now also gain a 10% bonus to weapon equip speed. Onto some actual ability changes, Marksman Dodge now has the ability to collect any nearby ammo bricks when used, and rather than reloading just your equipped weapon, it now reloads all of your weapons instead. The Strand Ensnaring Slam aspect has been buffed. It now no longer increases your dodge cooldown after using the ability, and it's also been given a brand new behavior. Suspending enemies with Ensnaring Slam now grants a varying amount of woven mail depending on how many enemies you suspended. One enemy is worth 4 seconds, and it caps out at 20 seconds for having suspended at least 5 enemies, making it much more worth the risk to dive into a group of enemies and escape with your life. I also want to see if there's any build potential here with Speedloader Slacks, for example, so definitely stay tuned for that. Staying on Strand for a second, Threaded Spectre has had its fragment slots increased from 2 to 3, which also happens to be an excellent pairing with Ensnaring Slam. One of the bigger changes affecting the Hunter ability sandbox pertains to the Solar on your mark aspect, which now behaves like so. Precision hits grant 1 stack of the buff, and precision kills grant 2 stacks, and the buff itself now stacks up to 10 times. Furthermore, for each stack of the buff you gain, you also get +5 weapon stat, with the maximum of 10 stacks giving you 50 weapon stat total, which also affects your teammates, by the way, not just you, which definitely opens up a support DPS avenue where you task your Solar Hunter with topping up the weapon stat of your entire team when fighting a raid boss, for example. When you're at 10 stacks, the buff can still be refreshed with kills, however precision damage cannot. Also, kills while at level 10 now grant cure, and it still provides the previous reload speed benefit it did in the past. Staying on Solar Hunter, Deadshot Golden Gun has been changed so that it now refunds ammo on kills rather than ignitions, removing the need for Ember of Combustion, and it was stated in the patch notes that the energy returned is supposed to diminish with each kill you get. However, this is not the case, and you can continue firing your Golden Gun so long as there are enemies to kill without worrying about the super ending, because it won't, which is probably unintended, so make use of this while you can. The last piece of ability tuning for Hunter relates to the Stasis Grim Harvest aspect, where, you guessed it, the Stasis Shard cooldown has been removed, and yes, I can confirm it is indeed gone, making builds like Mask of Fealty just that much better. Wrapping things up, we have some miscellaneous items, starting with Spreadshot hand cannons, which have had their PvE damage bonus increased from 8% to now 15%. Wow. The Stronghold Exotic Titan gauntlets have been fully reverted to their pre-update 9.1.0 state and function like they always have in the past once again. Combination Blow has been fully fixed and should now work as intended with Tempest Strike or on its own without any additional hiccups. And there we have it. That's all of the major changes to the PvE sandbox that occurred during update 9.1.5. I hope you enjoyed the video and perhaps learned something new. I hope all my Warlock viewers are having fun with the new buddy aspect changes, and same goes for any Stasis Titans or Solar Hunters looking to mix things up. Let me know in the comments what you're enjoying the most. out. Anyway, that's all for today. Don't forget to like, comment, sub, and hype the video, because apparently mobile users can do that now, so yeah. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now, dear viewer.